Thank you. My name's Howie Hecht. I'm one of the co-founders of a company called Appenite. We run a service called Ad Sciences. Ad Sciences uses a lot of the concepts that I'm going to talk to you about now to help make sure that your Facebook and Instagram ad campaigns are as effective as they can be. And I have a little secret. The title of my presentation is The Secrets to Effective Facebook and Instagram Advertising. However, none of these things are secrets. These are all things that everybody should be doing, but when my company talks to prospects, we find out that a lot of them are not doing these things. So I'm hoping that you guys can get a lot of value out of this. Wow. The first thing that I want to figure out is I want to know the audience, and that's the first thing that you should be thinking about when you're running ad campaigns as well. So in the room, just by show of hands, who's at a B2B type of company? B2C? Okay, we've got a few of each. How many of you are actually running some sort of a paid digital ad campaign now or want to be in the future? How many of you are thinking about using Facebook? Okay, so there's been a spattering of each of them. Anybody here from an agency? Okay, got some interesting tips for working with agencies as well. The first thing I want to tell you is that infrastructure matters. When you're running digital ad campaigns, you really have to think about the way everything is set up. Those of you who are running campaigns or thinking of doing so, specifically on the Facebook platform, you don't need to show me your hands, but are you using Business Manager? I hope so. Business Manager is a construct within Facebook that allows you to delegate different responsibilities to different employees of yours, different partners, different consultants. And the important thing here is that all of your data becomes yours. So if you let people run your ad account, for instance, a partner agency, in their own account, and it's not connected to yours, if you ever want to use a different agency or supplement services with other agencies as well, all of your data from your previous campaigns is gone. So a piece of advice, make sure that you do set up Business Manager. It's a free thing from Facebook, and it's just that. It's just a construct. I can't tell you how many times that we get started with our campaigns with clients where they say, oh, we wish we could show you how our previous campaigns went, but we don't have the data anymore because we hired somebody to do it and they ran it in their own account. So don't make that mistake. The next thing is when you're thinking of running these campaigns, and this is what my company, this is the credo of my company, it's what are we going to learn? Every single dollar you spend on a digital ad campaign is an opportunity to learn something. If you think about it in advance and if you set up the ads and the audiences in advance, you should be trying to learn something. So instead of creating a big target audience and running one ad, create a couple different target audiences. Slice them up by some metric that's important to your business to learn who's a better audience. Is it audience A or is it audience B? Do the same thing with the ad creative, because in advance, there really is no way to know which one is going to work better for which audience. So don't just run one ad and one audience, run a couple, run a few, but also don't overcomplicate it. My company overcomplicates it, but we built a whole platform that connects directly through the Facebook ad APIs to help you measure everything and show you what works and what doesn't. Keep things manageable while you're doing this in-house, whether it's yourself or it's through an agency. Instrumentation also really matters. What do I mean by instrumentation? So everybody should have Google Analytics on all their pages. They should have the Facebook Pixel on all their pages as well. And all of your ads should be using UTM parameters. All right, let's take a quick step back. Facebook Pixel. Is everybody familiar with that? Anybody not familiar with that? That's a little tracking pixel that goes on the website that enables you to do the #1 most important part of digital advertising, which is retargeting and remarketing. Okay, so what does that mean? That means that everybody who comes to your website, if they happen to have a Facebook account as well, you can now send an ad to those people. You can send an ad to them based on the fact that they came to your site. You can send an ad to them based on the fact that they went to certain pages or performed different actions. You can even instrument it down to your entire sales and marketing funnel so that you can have different ads going to different people at different times, including things like promotions. But you can only do this if you actually instrument your site and have the Facebook pixel there. It's just a piece of JavaScript. You get it through your ad account, through Business Manager, through the ad account, and you can deploy it to your site very easily. Think also about taxonomy and naming conventions. Those of you who have run Facebook ads, I'd put money on the fact that your first audience was called Audience 1 and your first ad was called Ad 1. Don't do that. You can start it with a number, but give it some sort of a name. That way when you run the reports and you show them to your colleagues and to the people you work for, maybe to your investors, maybe even to your potential business partners, you can actually show them what works, what doesn't work, without having to translate it for them. So the whole concept here, and what I've been leading up to, is that you want to experiment, and you want to make as few assumptions as possible. There's a motto that my team has, that's let the creative team be creative. Come up with a bunch of different pieces of ad creative, both the imagery as well as the copy that goes along with each ad, and experiment. Because a priori, you really have no idea of knowing which ad is going to work the best for which of the different audiences you create. Also think about, how do I phrase this? We have some clients who try to measure everything and experiment with everything. Take a step back and think about certain things that you already know, things that you already learned, and the things that you might not want to learn or know or spend money on because you already know them. Right? You might know that there's a certain segment of the market that will never buy your product. There's no need to test that if you already know that. Also, experiment with creative ideas. We ran into an interesting case with one of our clients. We found that once we could get people who had abandoned their carts in a consumer purchase, once we could get them at that stage, we could easily convert them. But we were having trouble getting more people to actually abandon their cart. So we took a step back and we started to optimize. Instead of for purchase, we optimized for abandoned carts. Who would ever do that? Well, we already knew that once we had an abandoned cart, we could get them to buy. We learned how to do that. We knew which ads worked and how to get them there. So we said, all right, we'll optimize for the middle part of the funnel instead. And their sales started skyrocketing. I want to make sure that everybody who's running campaigns uses all of their data, and any data you can get your hands on. There's an enormous amount of information floating around in each of your companies, whether they be email lists, prospect lists, CRM data, sales data, information from prior campaigns, the data that comes along with the Facebook pixel that says who's in what part of your sales funnel. Use all of it. Use all of it to create audiences. Facebook recently introduced a new feature that lets you create what's called a lookalike audience, but they let you attach lifetime value, LTV. So now imagine if you export your customer list along with the amount of revenue that you've gotten or expect to get over the lifetime, and then create a lookalike audience. Facebook will match it to their other users, and you'll have an audience that you can advertise to that looks just like your clients, sorted in order of how much possible revenue you can get from them. They use that to apply a weighting. There's also a lot of third-party data available out there. In fact, I see Mike Rousey from Aptient sitting right there in the third row. We use Aptient data in all of our campaigns. Aptient lets you buy data based on what apps people have on their phones and how often they use them, so that you can package it up as a personality, right? So if you know that somebody has Lyft and Uber and Zipcar, they probably don't own a car, and maybe that's part of what you're trying to target. Think about all the different possibilities there. The last bit of advice I would give you is make sure you share the results internally with your organization. We had a client that shared their results internally with the other side of their marketing team that ran conferences, and they learned that from the digital side, they knew how to speak to different types of customers and different audiences and which ads worked, down to what color of ad worked. So then the print side of the house, the side that was creating white papers and things to give away at the conferences, would tailor things depending on who the audience was at the conference. So lots of interesting things start to happen when you actually share the results internally with your team. That's it for now, and happy to take questions. Thank you. Any questions at all about running Facebook and Instagram ad campaigns? Now's your chance.
I have a question. What are the cost structures of that? Like, I've heard that it's really inexpensive still because the biggest companies aren't doing it yet. Like Coca-Cola, maybe next year they're going to get on it and it's going to go way up. But like right now, for a local company to get, is it by the click? Is it by groups of clicks? What could you speak to that?
So that's a great question. You can structure the campaigns any way you want. You can structure it as pay-per-click or pay-per-result. We tend to structure them based on impressions, which gives you more control over the cost. The App and Ad Sciences philosophy is that you're learning this as you're going. Remember that first slide. Everything's an experiment. Everything in digital marketing is an experiment, and you're trying to learn. And everything you do should be set up as a way that you spend your next bit of money a little bit wiser. And so you'll learn what those are. And yes, Facebook ads right now are a lot, for the most part, less expensive because the bigger brands haven't sunk a lot of that money in yet. And you could run campaigns for as little as $1 a day for certain types of campaigns to $5 a day. We have clients that range from a minimum of $2,000 a month, which is about $60 a day, to $10,000 a day. And that client that's doing $10,000 a day now started at $30 a day. Why are they doing $10,000? Because they got things so optimized that they learn that for every dollar they put in this side, they get somewhere between 5 and 15 out the other side. So they just want to keep pouring more in. You're welcome. Thank you.